people. Finish another book. Uh, Cold Burial. Subtitled here, A True Story of Endurance and Disaster. Uh, Regular viewers will know that I like polar exploration. And this is a story of three guys that take off from, they go into the Canadian Arctic. And, the main character is a guy named Hornby. He has gone into the Canadian Arctic before. They call it the Barrens. This is like in the 1920s that they do this. Hornby was something of a heroic figure. He came from an English family that was semi-famous, well-to-do, and before he's back in England visiting his parents, and they somehow concoct this. He's gonna take one of his young cousins with him into the Canadian Arctic. Then they meet another guy on a train, and they take him with them. So there's three of them. They go on a canoe and kind of go down these rivers through all these lakes. Great Slave Lake. They end up on the Thelon River, and it's a place, they call it the Barrens because you're further north than trees will grow. But they get on this Thelon River where they call it the Oasis, where there's another patch. This is 100 miles past where the trees stop. There's another area where the trees are growing. So Hornby, three guys and all their shit go in one canoe. They plan on building their cabin when they get there. They're supposed to trap and, save their furs and make some money. They're supposed to do some geologic exploration. None of it works out. Hornby thinks that and people have probably been building up his ego all this time. Hornby thinks he knows everything there is to know about spending the winter in the Canadian Arctic. He thinks he knows what the caribou are going to do. He thinks the caribou are going to be there. And if the caribou aren't there, he thinks that they can kill muskox and live off of that. So they really, I'm used to reading these other books about state-sponsored expeditions into the north, and for the most part, they're very well supplied. At the very least, they have clothing. They have enough food to last the length of time they intend to stay out there. Let's put it that way. Hornby doesn't bring enough food with him. He plans on living off the land. There's a lot of people that know Hornby in the north. Trappers, explorers. A lot of them, after they find the three dead bodies, a lot of them start to badmouth Hornby and say, yeah, he didn't really live off the land. He lived by begging off other trappers and by begging off the Indians. I don't have too many notes in here. This was a 262-page book. It took me one full day and 2 partial days. It's still early afternoon here on my 3rd day here, and I'm finished with the book. I'll probably start another book today. This wasn't well written. I went, 262 pages. I went 130 pages before they even begin their trip. So my first note says, this may be a shitty book, but this is the best recipe for pemmican I've ever seen. And it does. It goes into really a very concise paragraph on how you make pemmican. Pemmican is something that all these people took with them. I don't know that these guys took any with them. The guys on the Karluk, if they didn't have that pemmican they had brought with them, that they would have all died. And anyways, it's air-dried meat. and then you kind of pound the shit out of it. And then you mix it with blueberries and other stuff, and blueberries are, they're all over the place. They're all over the place at my cabin. We go all the way to page 243 before I have another note in here. And yeah, they're, everybody tries to justify. The guy was young, the young cousin that went with him. Everybody tries to justify his death and make it seem like it's something to be proud of, that he had done something noble. I don't know about that. I think it was a waste of time. So the expedition, in this stark final moment, did not seem to Edgar to have really failed at all. What had failed was unimportant, the mortal body. In terms of the spirit, and as a testament to comradeship, mutual help in struggle, to human love itself, Edgar could only see what was positive and honorable. Even in his terminal state, he was clear-sighted enough to see that accusing fingers would be pointed at his cousin. Please don't blame dear Jack. For Edgar, blame for what had happened did not enter into the matter. Jack Hornby had been his paradigm of a complete gentleman, as well as mentor, willing to teach the boy everything and to provide a platform on which to build his manhood. Now that furs and rocks and wildlife photographs were quite forgotten, this was revealed as the whole object of the trip. It was their Everest and their pole, and even in failure, it honored their family and their nation, turning physical defeat into moral victory and justifying everything. And he added their pole because even though Scott died trying, everybody makes a big hero out of him. Some of the people that kind of start to badmouth Jack Hornby after this is over, there's another guy I'm going to get to later here. But I run into this name, Viljamar Stephenson, and I say to myself, I know that name, so I went and Googled it. And sure enough, Stephenson is the guy that abandoned his men aboard the Karluk. I can't believe that Stephenson, some kind of charges should have been brought against Stephenson. He should not have been a free man. There's a guy named Critchell Bullock who had gone with Hornby on an expedition the previous couple of years, and they almost died. So Critchell Bullock, he badmouths him. There's several other books. I've got here a note that says further reading. There's several other books, but I don't think I'm not interested. I'm not going to get any of these other books. It was poorly planned. Hornby was like kind of an egomaniac, and he had a lot of sycophants that just fed his egomania. It was 2 years later that, it was a year later, some trappers came by and they went and found the cabin. They found found two bodies outside. The young kid, Edgar, lived the longest. He was inside the cabin, in his bed. He had actually wrote notes and sewed the other guys up in blankets, laid down on his bed, pulled the blanket over his head, and died. And that's how they found him. Another year went by before, some Mounties went up there and they buried the bodies right there. It was, I guess, sad, tragic. It was all Hornby's fault. Hornby was kind of a dumbass. That's it. Thanks for watching.